Episode 1. All events will take place around the character of Bassara Tojo. Being in a cafe with his father, he tells him the news. He's getting married and his new sisters will be joining them soon. Bassara goes to the toilet, but accidentally making a mistake because of the broken lock, goes to the girl. After a small exchange, it turns out that this girl is one of his new sisters. Meet Narusa Maria and Narusa Miyu. Their mother joined later, because she flew abroad. The next morning, having already moved in, and after a very good wake-up for Tojo, the family decides to take a picture for memory. On the street, a handful of thugs stick to the scarlet-haired one, but the brother quite skillfully deals with a couple of bandits and leaves with Miyu. In the evening after the departure of the main character's father, it turns out that both girls are unusual people, but demons who deceived them. They want to take the house and erase the memories of Green-Eyed, but as it turns out, he is also not just a man, but from the clan of heroes. The brown-haired man drives them away. A little later, after dialing his father, it turns out that he was not fooled, and he knew everything. All this was due to the fact that Purple-Eyed was the daughter of the former demon king Wilbert. In order to save her, her father sent Mia to his servants from the human world, but not so long ago the demon king died and now she is also in danger. As the kid realized everything, he decides to return them. At the last second he manages to save his family. As everyone returned home, it turns out that Bassara and his father no longer belong to the faction of heroes. Tojo decides to apologize to Narusa, but during this she faints. After going to her bath, the scarlet-haired woman wakes up and after the conversation everyone departs. At night, Maria offers her mistress and the green-eyed man a master and servant contract, justifying everything with a bond. Due to a mistake during the ceremony, the brother is now the master and the sister is the servant. It also turns out that the second sister is a succubus. The contract is based on complete submission to the master. If the servant does not obey, a curse is triggered. And because Marisha is a lustful demon, an aphrodisiac acts on Mia under the curse. And now Bassara needs to subdue his little sister so that the curse will fall off. To do this, he needs to touch her properly. After this process, the daughter of the demon king punishes her servant. The next day, Tojo and Purple-Eyed went to school. For the first one, this is a new school. In the classroom, the main character meets his old friend Yuki. His classmate Takigawa also gets to know him. Climbing up to the roof with him, he explains to him that he has made a whole enemy of schoolchildren, because two idols of the school want to get our hero at once. After lessons, the blue-haired girl invites her old friend to a conversation and during it, asks to stay away from Mia. During the conversation, Bassara defends the scarlet-haired woman, saying that she is not to blame for anything, but Yuki explains that due to the large number of demons that hunt her, they can pose a threat and when this happens, she will immediately kill her. In the evening after coming home, Maria offers everyone to take a bath to strengthen the bonds. During this process, Bassara suddenly wakes up and it turns out to be a dream, but next to him is a succubus, who just showed this dream, and the hero asks her for a favor. The next day at school, Mia is cursed again. Fainting, she is taken to the medical center, where, upon regaining consciousness, the curse subsides. In the evening, while still at school, demons come to them meeting the green-eyed one, and at this time Yuki comes to the purple-eyed one. After dealing with the enemies, and entering the medical center, Tojo realizes that his sister was taken away by an old friend. At this time, a fight broke out between the girls, but having managed to approach them, the whole trio meets a mysterious stranger who tells them that it turns out that Maria, along with Bassara, destroyed demons at night to protect the scarlet-haired one from them, and also so that the clan of heroes would not want to destroy her. A mysterious man wants to take away the power of the daughter of the demon king. Brown-haired man tries to protect her with his sword, but because of emotions, he just has to put himself under attack. The masked man leaves. After bringing Bassara home, he comes to his senses. The white-haired woman notices that he is recovering quite quickly. After these words, Tojo remembers his childhood. Miyu leaves at this time. She decides to let her loved ones go so as not to put them in danger anymore. The stranger already wants to take her away, but Yuki comes to the rescue. A fight begins between them, in which the blue-haired woman can lose, but at the right moment the brown-haired man manages to come. A fight begins between them, where the green-eyed one wins. One of the demons still manages to injure him, which is why the scarlet-haired one releases the true power of the demon king. She wants her brother to kill her, but he does not agree with this, uses the banishing shift and helps his sister. The next morning, Yellow-Eyed comes to visit the hero. A little later, the trio headed to school. Finding Takigawa in Bassara asks him how he is, for he cut him up in the park. Tojo had initially realized that the stranger was him. The kid offers cooperation to his enemy, because at its core, he did not try to kill them, and if the new Demon King finds out that his servant failed, he will send an even stronger enemy, which our brown-haired man does not need. The enemy agrees. We are shown Green-Eye's father, who explains to someone that he can control the power of the sword thanks to his mother, and that his son cannot escape from the past. In the morning, Maria turns out to be in the bed of the owner of the sword. She seduces him, but by his actions he shows that he is not like that. After going down and going into the bathroom, Narusa turns out to be there, and the situation is about the same as at the beginning of the first episode. They remember this situation with laughter, and Miyu decides to kick her brother properly. While taking a shower, Yuki climbs into Bassara. Discussing the past, a purple-eyed woman comes to them, whose curse is activated. After removing the curse, Tojo meets with Takagova and he talks about the specifics of the contract between the master and the servant. Later, the teacher Hosogawa sits down with them, with whom the brown-haired man communicates on the way home. In the evening, the demon Varga and Zest are sent to help the masked man. In the house, Green-Eyed presents Maria for the specifics of the contract, but she explains that this was the only choice. Narusa wants to help strengthen the hero's trust with the scarlet-haired one. The mistress catches her and punishes her. At night, people from the hero clan save a girl from a demon. It turns out that now the daughter of the Demon King is a target for destruction. At school, students get to Bassara, but the teacher helps him. The blue-haired woman asks Tojo out on a date while they are being watched. During their date, they are joined by two sisters. While shopping, Yellow-Eyed meets her sister Kuromi. While the family is trying to reach their friend, they are attacked by a demon. He is too tough for them and Takashi and the rest of the heroes come to the rescue. They want to kill Mia, but the brown-haired man won't let them. Nevertheless, they are fulfilling the mission and they do not need extra sacrifices either, so the heroes will prepare a barrier and the next day they will have a 3-on-3 battle. In the evening, the son communicates with his father and he supports him and explains that he will need to fight with his old girlfriend. For a while, Narusa and Tojo trained, and during the rest, my brother explained the whole plan and strategy of their fight. At this time, the others remember the day when Bassara killed many. At home, they are doing another preparation for tomorrow's fight. At school, Takigawa explains to the owner of the sword that if Miyu tries to harm him, he will intervene. In response, Green-Eyed says that if he touches at least one of his acquaintances, he will be killed. In the evening, Yuki finds his friend, and asks him not to go to the fight, but he cannot be dissuaded. A little later, the battle begins. The barrier opens and the fight begins. During the fight, the family is divided into different battles. During his battle, Bassara wins, but does not particularly harm the enemy. After that, not wanting to fight with the blue-haired woman, he is put under attack and she puts him to sleep. Scarlet-haired and Maria continue to fight Takashi, but Yellow-Eyed stops him. At this time, on the lap of his girlfriend's sister, in a dream he has a dream about a bad past. The purple-eyed one comes to them and she reaches out to his soul and awakens him. Waking up, Tojo manages to come to the fight and starts his fight. Due to the uncontrollable power of Takashi's weapon, the true form of the spear is released. Teaming up, Green-Eyed in place with Yuki overpowers him. Shiba concludes that the mission has failed and everyone is leaving. After the battle, the blue-haired girl never came to school. When she gets home, she finds herself cooking. As it turns out, Miyu is again a target for surveillance, and in order to keep an eye on her, she will live with them. As a gift for saving her mistress, Maria shows home videos, which is why the heroine learns about the contract of the master and the servant, who also wanted to conclude it with Bassara. The next day at school, during physical education class, Tojo notices a succubus. Not wanting her to do anything stupid, he decides to stop her. After finding her and during their conversation, Narusa persuades the swordsman to set up a barrier in the school to protect his mistress. The barrier was supposed to be in the locker room, but because the girls came from physical education class, they have to hide, but they are easily found by the daughter of the Demon King. After reproaches in their direction, Miyu activates the curse, and the brown-haired man immediately removes it. Later, the hero notices a strange phenomenon. Maria talked to Takigawa. After lessons, after asking her about it, she reduced everything to an ordinary accident. We are shown Zest, who shows her master the current power of the scarlet-haired one and tells about Dean's son Toja. In the evening, the succubus prepared everything for the master and servant contract. Yuki went through everything that Miyu went through the first time. At this time, they are being watched by a subordinate of the main villain. At school, a classmate attacks Bassara with coveted desires. Seeing this, the purple-eyed one runs away, and the blue-haired one immediately realized that this was hypnosis. Running away, Maria finds the mistress, but the second one falls asleep. Tojo catches up with them, but he sees the demon leaving with both of them. Having been captured by the enemy, the servant of the Demon King wants to touch the girl, but because of the message that his servant sends him, he does not do so. Tokigawa explains Sorgia's true plan. Maria really served to protect Mia, but initially she was his servant, blackmailing her, forcing her to work. The daughter of the Demon King needs him to defeat the current king. It was he who forced the contract of master and servant between Green-Eyed and his sister, and now she is in danger, because the curse works so that in the wrong hands a servant can go crazy and die because of lust. Bassara wants to force his classmate to tell him where his step-relative is now. A little later, Lars comes to talk to the captive girl, bringing a ticket with him. It turns out that he was the one who advised his master to send a message to Zorgi. Tokigawa tries to blackmail Zest, but she kills him. Bringing Tojo's body to Maria, Zorgia's servant sends an order from him to subdue the boy. Upon regaining consciousness, Bassara tries to persuade the succubus, but she uses her power on him in no way, turning off her mind. The hero does not miss and comes to his senses, disabling the protective barrier around the castle. Thus Yuki was able to get there, starting her battle with Zest. The blue-haired woman frees Mia and she also enters the fight. In another battle, the brown-haired man still manages to reach his sister. After defeating the servant, her master comes, who shackles all the girls and wants to kill his employee, but the green-eyed one comes to the rescue in time. Zorgia turns out to be not so simple and uses one of his strongest abilities, mental control. Bassara manages to bypass the technique and start the fight. The enemy is too strong and still takes control of the hero. Maria wants to help, but because of her mom's death, she can't fight. Seeing how her friends are suffering, the scarlet-haired woman releases her power. All this was according to the plan of the Ram, and he already wants to touch Mia. But due to her own power, Purple-Eyed wants to kill him, but Tojo stops her, because he does not want her to regret, according to his own experience. The main villain leaves, and the mother of the succubus is alive, thanks to Tokigawa. He finds it, and now he's going to kill it himself. But Zorgia is not so simple. It turns out that the castle is a demon that devours everything, and not only are those who are inside doomed, but also the world of people. All but the lustful demons decide to go to the center of the creature's core to destroy it. When they reach the core, they destroy the demon. A little later, Bassara joins Tokigawa to see the death of a common enemy. After returning home and realizing everything that happened to them, they begin to hold on to each other even more. In the demon world, Jean meets with the new demon lord to sort things out. A battle breaks out between the Demon King and Jean Tojo. During the battle, Jean realizes that the little guy is not bad. The demon also says that the nickname God of War is not just a fairy tale. Both are using their powers to their fullest potential. Suddenly, the subordinates come out of the building to protect their master, who says that this fight is only one-on-one. Suddenly, a girl falls from a collapsed roof. Tojo catches her and leaves. Miyu has a good dream. Narusa, Yuki, Bassara and Maria have breakfast, after which the three students go to class. On the way there, the girls are surprised that the boy joined the executive committee. He replies that he wants to try to lead a normal school life. In the evening at the school, Shuten and Tachibana meet teacher Hozigawa, who wishes them luck in the school festival. As soon as she leaves, the hero glimpses something. It turns out that the blonde joined the committee, on the recommendation of the teacher, so he wants to try. In one of the offices, some guys are not happy with the number of fireworks at the festival, so much so that one of them wanted to raise his hand on the girl. Green-Eyed immediately stopped him, but they were not enough. As suddenly, abruptly on the arrival of Long-Haired, begin to obey. The other teacher takes Bassara to the roof of the school. The gray-haired one says he doesn't want to lecture, but he'd better leave those guys to it. He also adds, "Beware of teacher Hozigawa." A student comes in and says she's made a deal with the store about fireworks. While walking along the road, red-haired and blue-haired meet Tokigawa. He decides to warn them, because in the last battle Miyu's power got out of control and Tojo was able to save her. They need to become stronger to help their friend in case his power gets out of control. Even if they have to kill him. After the conversation, he leaves. Late in the day, Bassara is about to go home. Suddenly a barrier unfolds near him, in which all people are subjugated. Our hero decides to fight, but suddenly Kuromi appears and helps him. Because of her sister's report to the village, the heads decide that Yuki alone won't be enough to monitor. Upon arriving home, the two are in for a surprise. It turns out that the yellow-eyed one and the red-eyed one have decided to submit even more to Tojo in order to become stronger. Purple-haired doesn't like this, but Maria says if the heroine hadn't made a contract with the sword wielder, she would have died in the battle with Zorgia. The succubus starts teasing about Nanaka's age, but she replies that she's older than Yuki. Well, if she's older, take that. The gray-haired one casts a spell and the green-eyed one needs to subdue Kuromi. After the ritual, the sisters went to bed. It turns out that Maria has a sister who got angry when she found out what she did, so the Demoness wants to keep the sisterly relationship with the yellow-eyed. The guy hugs her and says, "I care about you." At night, Bassara reflects on the enemy and vows to protect her family. The school festival has started. All the people come to watch, and Kuromi is not left out. Tojo introduces her to Tachibana. The other girls come to switch places with the guys and they split up for a while. Shaten finds Mia with Yuki and the red-haired girl says it's time. It turns out that all the girls have learned about a mysterious enemy that can subdue people. There's a large crowd at the festival today, so everyone has to be on their guard. Kajirumi Ito gives a speech and the games begin. At this time, the younger sister calls the spirits who will investigate the place and if anything happens they will inform. Blondie notices this. The games at the festival are going well, everyone is having fun. Here comes the mixed four-legged obstacle race, in which our heroes participate. Maria, at this time dreaming of good events during the competition, wants to get there. The trio reaches the finish line and teacher Hozigawa comes to praise them, but the green-eyed one is careful with her, for he must protect his family. The spirits do find who is behind everything though, as Donu abruptly summons a storm. Nanaka immediately goes into battle form. Bassara immediately goes into battle summoning his blade. While his friends have to get the people away from the place. After dealing with the tornado, the hero is attacked by a guy in glasses, and it turns out that he is a vampire. As it turns out the yellow-haired guy was being manipulated. The vampire thinks Tojo wants to kill him, as do all the heroes who keep up with them. The guy notices the tears in the vampire's eyes, and asks himself, did he do it all? Yellow-eyed along with red-eyed are trying to find Bassara. Suddenly the long-haired one walks up to them. Shaten notices that the sensation of their presence is gone, so he quickly casts Tachibana aside and heads towards his family. On the way he is met by a green-eyed woman who cannot miss him. Teacher Sakasaki comes to his aid. Together with him the guy leaves, but the woman cannot be stopped. It turns out that the kind teacher has known his father for a long time. Jean asks to look after his son. Saki is a freelance exorcist. Shaten asks what the lady is capable of and who she is. The man knows nothing about her, but notes that her power is commensurate with S-rank demons. The teacher is running shadow control, everything that was done by her. The twosome must organize a retaliatory strike. Suddenly Bassara attacks the serval-haired man, for he realized that if Hozigawa posed a danger, his father took action, and if he did nothing, the woman was no threat. Meaning that he is the one who is their enemy. Sakasaki throws the guy back into the wall and takes the form of a god. Tojo doesn't give up, but the god has a trump card in the form of Kuromi. The guy has no choice but to obey his lord and his hand is cut off. He passes out, it looks like it's all over. Suddenly the hero grows an arm and becomes like a beast. A big-breasted woman chains him up and says, "You're pathetic, Ornus." Talking about the power Brunhild had extracted and he let it out so easily. The god says he can't forgive the fool who got her support for nothing. Turns out Sakasaki's real teacher was also that bastard. She was just faking it then, at his death, but now she won't let it happen. This child is proof of Brunhild's life. Ornus can't leave without her, and he knows the woman has sealed away half of her powers to come into this world. The long-haired woman has indeed been tried many times, but she has been allowed to use her full power in emergencies. One of them, a threat to Bassara's life. The god asks why she didn't let Tojo kill him. The Ta replies that it wasn't to save him, just to keep him from raging even more. Althea kills the god. Next, she saves the brown-haired man. She will change his memories so he won't remember how out of control he got, for it is early and one day they will talk about his mother. The festival is over. Tachibana tells him that a long time ago his parents were kicked out of the hero clan, the theory being that they were framed to make vampires criminals, thereby giving them the opportunity to hunt them down. The boys allowed it. Bassara remembers defeating Ornus, however he has a strange feeling that he was saved. All this time he was in the bathtub. Suddenly Maria comes in with the girls who have activated the curse. He has to remove it. Suddenly the succubus sister comes in. We are transported to the world of the demons where the new king says, "Attack the ranks of the moderate faction, thanks to a relic of the ancient demon war." All because of a run-in with Jean Tojo. Now we need to restore the face of the demon lord faction. The king approaches Luca asking about the research. She says that everything is progressing well and she will fulfill the order even at the cost of her life, but she is told that she needs to rest as well. Luca passes out. Who will lead the assault? It's Golf. Now they need an excuse to attack the council. That's where Takigawa comes in, saying that the moderate faction has summoned Narusa Mia to the demon world. This is a great chance to claim her magical powers. This can already be judged as aggression towards them. The servant reports to Rammus Master that she has received orders. As soon as they are prepared, they will come to the demon world, and also there will be an assembly soon. There will be people there to speak for the heiress from Wilbert's side. The Lord says for her to forget about them for a while. After the whole company found out that they need to go to the demon world, they support the red-haired one and say whatever happens there, we will be there for you. The whole group got ready and went to the other world. After traveling through space, the family arrives at Wilbert's castle, which is now owned by Rasmus. They are put in rooms not very favorable for habitation. Abruptly Zest comes to them. She is a maid here. Suddenly, Shella, Maria's mom, appears out of nowhere. Turns out Zest is her personal servant. The succubus sister has prepared punishments for Maria. However, Bassara asks her to forgive her. However, the adult says that just because they forgave her doesn't mean the gray-haired one's guilt is gone. If he calls her family, he should punish her. Kuromi was eavesdropping on the whole process. Because she did it, Tojo needs to punish her too. When we got back, there was a new guest, Klaus. He said he was honored to meet Jin's son. The demon served Wilbert. The man is surprised at the room given to the king's daughter. The servant says it was the Lord's orders, but Klaus says he will inform him later. On the way, the old man tells them about the conflict between the middle faction and the demon lord's faction. At the castle, Mia is greeted by the people with honors. The girl Noelle shows the city center, however it is very noisy, for even disguised they cannot stand still. Walking through the city, the green-eyed man notices the guards of the middle faction, which means the battle with the new demon lord is getting closer. The company is resting, but Zest does not want to be with them for long, for she thinks if Zorgia's former servant stays on their side, there could be trouble. She doesn't think she belongs anywhere. Some demons get to her. The brown man comes to her rescue and tells her to know her worth. The twosome finds the others. On the way back, the group sees Rasmus for the first time. Klaus tells Bassara he's not interested in her as much as they are. The new lord wants to extract power from Mia, but no one has ever tried to do that before. Who knows how it will affect her life? The new rooms turn out to be gorgeous. Kuromi is given the darkness particles, for her succubus sister wants the blue-haired one to take care of Maria. Tojo approaches the red-haired one to talk. Shaten says he knows all about it and asks who they think the red-eyed one is. The overlord says it's bullshit no matter what happens to her for the good of the people and calls her spoiled and stupid. Bassara was about to take the blade but Lucia points the knife at him. Shella joins in too and says it's going nowhere and takes the guy into the bathtub to relax. Zest turns out to be there as well. The succubus mother says she can make a pact with the green-eyed one. The hero says that if that's what she wants, he's fine with it, and promises to protect her. The making of the pact goes well. The next day, Narusa, along with her friends, visit her father's grave. The next morning turns out to be horrible. Lord Leonhardt's faction has attacked the town and demand to bring Mia. At the castle, Maria has gone to look for her sister, and the yellow-eyed men are preparing for battle. The red-haired girl wants to help too, but her friends and Klaus say she must not go out. Bassara and Zest have already entered the battle. The others are coming up too. Tojo is fighting Gaff, however he is not doing well. Miu seeing all this runs out to help. At this time, the green-eyed one doesn't give up, but he is thrown so far away that he flies to Narusa. Turns out it was done all by Nibra, who has his own plan. Red-eyed finds the enemy who injured her brother. Using her power, the girl defeats the highly ranked spirit, but Nibra still has an ace up his sleeve. However, Rasmus steps up just in time. The demon has no choice but to try to kill the red-haired girl. Bassara is already here. In the evening the demon is interrogated. He already wanted to confess everything, but because of the contract of servant and master dissolves. Miu tells Klaus that she refuses her father's throne and wants to live her life as an ordinary person. Along the way, the company meets Tojo's father. Elsewhere, Gaff apologizes to Leonhardt. However, the latter replies that he has done a good job. After going down the elevator, from the bottom, Leon meets his sister Riara, who has tremendous power. After contacting Rasmus, the new overlord decides to hold a 7-on-7 contest, whose side wins will rule the entire demon world. Ras discusses this with Jean. He replies that this event will be much better than a full-scale war. He agrees, but the rewards for the winner don't mention Naruz, and the loser's head will be off his shoulders. Redhead can't trust the kids. Jean vouches, saying he'll train them and show them a way to win. The next morning, father and son are practicing. The boy shows not a bad move, but the father says that it is better to get through the enemy's defense thanks to a trick, and then hit, otherwise everything will end badly. During the break Bassara asks if Jean has met Leonhardt, and if so, if he can beat him. The old man replies that in a direct confrontation, the demon can beat him too, but that doesn't mean Tojo Jr. can't win. For starters, Little doesn't know his great strength. The training continues. The girls don't have a simple training either. Miyu wants to start controlling her power, Shella says she needs to hone her skills first, and then Wilbert's power. The succubus activates the curse, then gives them pills to block the activation of the contract. She warns them that the higher the loyalty grows, the harder it will be to find the green-eyed man. Suddenly there is an earthquake from the place where the relatives were practicing. Upon arriving there, the father says he overdid it. Bassara comes to his senses, he really thought he was going to die, however his father says he wouldn't do such a thing. Jean wanted to give him a good beating and there is no advance warning of that. The old man asks him what he thought when he was on the verge of death. About his family. Now he has to memorize the technique, but the brown man is reminded of the incident in the village. As the kid comes to his senses, Tojo Sr. tells him that his power has 3 limits. Conscious, subconscious, and his hatred for Brunhild because of the incident in the village. In the battle with Leonard he needs to remove one of them, maybe even 2. Jean said, set everyone to the contest and if anything he'd back him up. Next was a conversation about Bassara's 2 mothers. During the night, the green-eyed man was still able to remove the restrainer. And in the morning he came to Shella's house. A little later, the group headed to the battle. Here is the group's first meeting with Leonhardt. They are joined by Lord Belphegor. Just like Bassara's father said, the council and the current lord do not get along. After checking the room, the friends begin to reinforce themselves. The next morning Tojo, at Tokigawa's request, they meet. Shaten asks a classmate for some perfume. Yuki has a scary dream, after which she wakes up. The masked man was able to get the perfume. At night, the green-eyed man and Miyu can't sleep. It turns out that the guy talked to his father, after which he said, "Let's not get much sleep." Red-eyed asks him not to act alone. However, he replies to make the girl believe in him no matter what happens. The start of the tournament approaches. It turns out the reward to the winner, Wilbert's daughter. Luke's first battle, against Narusa Miyu. However, the petite one says she won't fight her, but a spirit. The monster is very strong, has regeneration and great power. It seems the girl lost, but the red-eyed girl was able to overpower it. Meeting with Maria, the red-haired girl says she won't lose until Bassara comes. The next fight is Lars versus Marie. The battle begins. After a couple of blows the succubus realizes that she can't beat Tokigawa in her normal form and goes into her mode. The first blow was pretty powerful, however Lars says he knows that she wanted to win no matter what. The masked man uses the barrier and wins. The crowd screams for him to kill her, but after shutting everyone up, he says he will decide who he will kill and who he won't and leaves. Victory is his. The sister carries off her relative. Kuromi asks Zest to bring them drinks. It was needed for the yellow-eyed man's conversation. The purple-haired one says that Miyu isn't the only one who can choose the path she will take. If Yuki wants something, everyone will support her. Bassara comes in somewhere with a blade. The next fight is Admiraz versus Kuromi Nanaka. The demon is blackmailing the girl with something related to Tojo. The fight begins, however everyone notices that something is wrong. The faction wants to take action, but Tokigawa says it's war. However, one of them is worried about the council's plans. Yellow Eye is on the point of exhaustion, one last attack and she loses. Admiraz wants to finish her off, but is thwarted by Zest. The councilman says he accepts Kuromi's defeat, but Zest is disqualified. Bassara attacks Belphegor, but the demon is faster. The villain starts talking about how he's going to have fun with Miyu. However, it was a bluff from Tojo and kills him. The former servant, carrying Nanaka, they are met by Yuki. They both find out why the little one fought like that. Zest wants to sort it out, however the blue-haired one says to take care of her sister. Admiraza thanks the council for the 2 victories for them, and they say if this keeps up, they'll do without him. The unicorn notices something for a second, however it seems to him. It turns out that Balfleur was eavesdropping on them. The next fight was Valga versus Yuki Nanaka. It's over in one jump. Lars asks Leon if he can find Balfleur with magic. He replies that he can't, for he can't sense him. Tokigawa thinks that perhaps the council has something to do with it. However, the Lord says he could not have fallen into the hands of the council. There is a reason for his actions. Because Balfleur is gone, victory must go to others. Suddenly Leonhardt enters the arena. Bassara never came, so Rasmus must enter the battle. Miyu still believes in him. Suddenly the arena is moved to Samduda. Unfortunately, only demon lords can enter the arena. Even if Tojo returns, he won't be able to fight. Leon is already preparing to become the victor by defeating Jean's son Tojo to finally change the order. Suddenly, Bassara shows up. At first there was surprise at how he got in there, but he most likely broke the barrier with one of his techniques. The fight begins, with both opponents pulling out their blades. Everyone is in anticipation for the upcoming fight. However, Jean does not watch the fight, for it will not change the outcome of the fight. Even so, he estimates his son's victory at 20%. It all starts with each other's energy attacks. Tojo does not use the expulsion shift, for it weakens the defense, which can be a fatal mistake against Leonhardt. For now, the guy can't use it. The red-haired one says that the red-haired one will not lose. Thanks to the perfume, the green-eyed man has cloned himself. Lars notices that the blows are superficial, and his friend hides an ace up his sleeve. Leon uses magic to dispel the clones. Bassara uses a space-distorting technique, but the demon sees them when the guy wants to use it. Horny uses the power of his sword and throws the brown-haired guy up to the ceiling. He starts falling into the lava and it's about to end. Before the battle, however, the green-eyed man meets with Shella, who gives him a pill that should release the demonic power of his other mother. He eats it falling into the lava. The Lord is about to leave. Suddenly Bassara crawls out and reveals herself. Leonhardt senses the Demon Lord's power. Tojo gains dominance, but it turns out that this power is destroying his body, causing it to fail. Miyu runs to him and the fight continues. Narusa appears in the arena, when she touched him, immediately entering his mind. The boy's power tries to take over his soul. However, the red-eyed one is trying to find the true Bassara. She met Zalgia in his subconscious and then found the green-eyed one. His power tries to attack the girl, but Tojo doesn't allow it. The Demoness frees the puckish man from the powerful force. The council learns of Lord Belphegor's death, but they find themselves trumped by the King of Heroes. It is a chaos demon, a supreme being commanding the spirits of the heroes. A demon known as the Flame of Purgatory. The council wants to sacrifice the king's daughter and the son of the god of war. He seems to have dealt with them, but it turns out this thing has a huge army. Our heroes were saved by an exorcism shift. Admiraz came to kill Yuki and Lucia. After taking cover, Leon tells them that the council has decided to feed them as a sacrifice, and that it is not safe on the other side, for according to the legends, the king is calling his army. Bassara immediately realized they would have to defeat the demon themselves. Lucia has shifted into battle form, but Admiraz uses demon miasmas that make even succubi sick, and humans even worse. Behind them, however, they have defeated friends to protect. Zest fights the army. She is completely loyal to Tojo. Shaten uses exile shift, but the technique is almost powerless against the demon's attacks. Leonhardt gets involved as well, but he gets the sweetest of punches. Miyu covers for him, while getting hit herself. The green-eyed man catches her. Rasmus arrives out of nowhere and subdues the beast. Yuki and the succubus try to fight back, but they are not doing well. The unicorn already wants to get to Kuromi, as Maria suddenly gets up, who rips his arm off, and later the purple-haired wakes up, who also rips his arm off. Two different sisters, finishing off Admiraz to the fullest. Noelle tries to shelter the baby, but they are attacked by a spirit. They are rescued by Lars, who starts fighting against them himself. Rasmus has a hard time keeping the demon at bay, and asks the youth to think of a way to destroy the creature. After thinking hard, Bassara realizes that the chaos can't leave the place because of the gravitational magic around it. They need to create a rift in space that it can't cross. They need to recreate a black hole. The plan is for Leonhardt to immobilize him, Narusa to create the hole, and Tojo to push the king into it. Rasmus removes the magic. Leon will immediately attack him, and the red-haired one creates a portal and allows the brown-haired one to remove all three restraints. Thanks to which Chaos and his army are banished. The council is shocked and wants to incinerate everyone, but Riara kills them. It turns out that Jean is also here. In the conversation the girl thinks about destroying his son, but his father says that after such words he will not be ceremonious. Horny is also serious. Suddenly Bassara arrives, who has not come alone. She hopes that now the son of the god of war will befriend Leo and leaves. The father is proud of his offspring. In turn, the guy says that finally everything is over and now Miyu will not be a cause for discord in the world of demons. Her sister and brother also learn about Belphegor's death, and the girl ponders why Tojo fought Leonhardt then. There was a conversation between Jean and Rasmus, where the red-haired one said that they secured peace in exchange for Belphegor's head, those they bypassed would be shunned even more. That was why the green-eyed man had risked his life. The son of a genie changed the history of the demon world. It turns out that as the brown-haired man lay without strength, Tokigawa came to help. The company returns to their world. Now everyone lives in peace and tranquility.